Hello, beautiful people of the world. I'm gonna do a video today on somewhat of a broad topic, but pain. It's something that I have thought about in a lot of different perspectives. Usually, the questions that I'm asking are why? Why is pain necessary? Why does it exist? Why do we have to suffer? Um, and kind of the typical response is that pain and suffering bring strength and beauty and lessons and all of these things that are kind of a counterpart to that experience. But when you're in that state, you kind of wonder, could I have learned this any other way? Um, and I believe that the answer in a universal sense is yes. On the earth plane, I don't think so. I think that it is necessary. As enlightened as a person can be, and perhaps there are those who have achieved a state of constant happiness, they definitely did not achieve that from birth. And whether or not you don't have pain and suffering in your life anymore doesn't mean that you had in your past. And so it seems that it is an unavoidable aspect of being here on earth. It is not limited to the human experience by any means, because there are so many animals that also grieve for the loss of their loved ones. Because really, I'm talking more about emotional pain, because physical pain, of course, is necessary from a health perspective. If you are in physical pain, your body is trying to tell you that something is wrong. If your leg's broken, it's going to hurt, so you don't keep walking on it. That seems really self-explanatory. Emotional pain, it is very similar to this in the sense that it is trying to tell you that something's wrong, and it is trying to act like a compass. Now, this is a much broader topic, but in general categories, you have depression, sadness, grief, loss, and the pain that comes from this. Your emotional body is trying to tell you to go inwards, to reflect, and to receive energy. That you really need to breathe in the now moment and meditate and be alone and take care of yourself and love yourself. And eventually you will get back to a state of kind of being in the middle ground where you can recognize that happiness and laughter and love and all these things are still perfectly attainable to you. But especially after going through something really traumatic, some kind of loss, whether it is not getting into a school or losing an animal, or, a family member or a job, you're going to feel like this emptiness, this disconnect. There was something in your reality that isn't there anymore. And the fact of the matter is that that situation is not causing you pain, but you're probably in pain because you're not listening to yourself and allowing the experience to happen. Because there's always an opposite reaction to everything. And when one door closes, another one opens. As cliche as that is, energy works like a vortex. If there is a big empty vacuum, something's going to come in and fill it. So when you are depressed, there is an opportunity out there and a lesson that isn't being fully integrated. And once you start to really tune into yourself and go slower and be easy and gentle on yourself and listen to the messages that are coming through, will you really understand the totality of the situation, why it happened. And when you can understand that, you can have more trust in the universe again and everything like that. So in that way, pain is trying to make you go inward. When you have anxiety, It's often a very similar experience. Your emotional body is trying to tell you that you have too much energy within yourself right now, that there is an excess and a pent up state. And rather than going inward to treat your own anxiety, which often makes it worse, you need to get your energy out and project it out. So that means doing art, going for a run, exercising, speaking to somebody, laughing, telling a joke, socializing, any kind of hobby, activity, any kind of creative endeavor, even a fidget spinner, tapping on things, making music, singing. These kinds of activities are going to allow your energy to channel outward in a more positive way so that it is not all pent up within yourself. And anxiety and depression can feel very similar because both of them are a state in which your energy is either too low or too high. And it is something that we all deal with. And so you're going to have to learn how to manage these fluctuations by going within yourself and going outside of yourself when the moments are appropriate. And so in that case, emotional pain is not just this thing that's inflicted upon us because we exist, but it's because we have to learn how to regulate our energetic bodies. And when we aren't, pain is the only thing that can really wake us up sometimes. And animals are the same with this. An animal that doesn't get any exercise and spends all day in a crate is going to be in a lot of emotional pain, distress, anxiety, such things like this. And an animal that has really just experienced something very hurtful or has moved or anything like this might need to just lay down for a few weeks and really kind of let them alone and do what they need to do and eventually kind of help them snap out of it. But people need alone time when they're going through some things. They don't need you to fix them or heal them or anything. They just kind of need you to still be there when they're in pain and support them. And mental pain, while it exists, it's usually more of a manifestation of the emotional pain, such as anxiety and depression. If your energy is way too high, your mind is going to be way too active, and you need to engage your mind, which is usually through all of the suggestions. And when your mind is very depressed and slow and dull, you need to just take some time to not think and breathe and meditate and be by yourself and kind of allow that experience to flow through you correctly. And then there's the pain in the heart, which is sort of a manifestation of depression and anxiety, but more so in relationships to love. And this is only a more extreme experience of whatever I've talked about. If your heart's in a lot of pain, then you know that you are really severing a very strong karmic tie with somebody. And it's not for a negative way, but your heart is in pain because you need to send love. If you break up with somebody, if you lose an animal, if you lose a family member, unless you send love and forgiveness, your heart is going to be in pain. And once you learn to send love even after death, and to send blessings and prayers and appreciation and happiness and joy even after death, then your heart will not be in pain anymore. And that's really what it's asking you to do. And if you don't, it will shrivel up and be so scared. And you need to make sure you're still using your heart at all times. These are the 4 levels of pain that I want to talk about, because after that, it starts to get into spiritual realms, and spiritual pain doesn't really have neurotransmitters and that kind of a thing. We can intuitively sense the spiritual world with our emotional bodies, but spiritual pain more often feels like a phantom limb or a longing. And these are topics that would probably encompass an entirely separate video. So I'm going to be doing a part 2 if anyone finds this interesting. These are just kind of my ruminations and my breakdown on pain. It is a survival mechanism. It helps keep us alive, it helps keep us centered, and it helps keep us true to who we are. And if you are in full and total alignment, you will not experience pain. Though we are not born in full, complete, total alignment. You cannot be if you're growing and evolving, especially if your body and brain are not fully developed. It's something that you have to come to, because if you know about the Fibonacci sequence and all of these spirals and patterns that make us who we are, the one that is life, it starts out not being quite mathematically perfect, but only after it continues for a long time, it gets closer and closer and closer, but it never really ever hits, that God frequency. But that's what makes life. So getting closer and closer and closer to your true essence is just part of being alive. So don't worry about it if you're not always doing a good job. Pain is simply a compass. So thank you guys for listening so much. Please check out my website if you're interested in any more of the work that I do, and I hope you have a blessed day.